Guys, this is the Carl Jackson Show podcast, your daily dose of objective truth in a world of confusion and lies. I'm honored to have with me today my guest, Brandon Straka of the Walkaway campaign. Brandon, welcome to the Carl Jackson Show podcast, man.
Hey, great to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, so Brandon, first off, let's promote this event that you're having right in my neck of the woods with Stephen Friend. Stephen Friend happens to be a friend of mine as well. For those of you that don't know him, he is a very brave man, and we'll talk about Brandon's bravery as well, in my opinion, in just a second here. But Stephen Friend, former FBI agent, SWAT, turned whistleblower. The guy, he was put through the ringer, standing up for truth, and so they are, both Brandon and Stephen Friend are going to be joining forces on January 6th at the Seminole Town Center. So we look forward to that, and Brandon will give us more details. Brandon, I think before we get started on your event, if you don't mind, just if for those of you that might not be familiar with you and my audience, talk to us about how you became a conservative. Obviously, you are a former liberal, you're a gay male, and you in May, I believe, of 2018, all of a sudden, what happened that changed your mind and you were like, oh snap, I'm actually not on the left?
So May of 2018 would be the time that I actually started Walkaway, but my journey away from the left began the year before, and it had a lot to do with Trump and his election. I voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016. I was a lifelong Democrat, two-time Obama voter. And it was when Trump got elected and everybody started going crazy, and I was one of the people going crazy. And the media that I'd been following my whole life, like, CNN, MSNBC, etc., was going crazy. And something just didn't feel right to me. I thought, I couldn't really understand how this person that they had been saying was a white supremacist and a racist and a second coming of Hitler was so popular among so many people. And they kept making these predictions of all these terrible things he was going to do that weren't really coming true. And so I went on a journey of research to try to understand, was the media portrayal of Trump accurate? And what is Trump actually about? And by the time I got done falling down many rabbit holes over many months, what I realized was that Donald Trump was not my enemy. The media that I had been trusting was my enemy. And so I ended up walking away from the Democratic Party in 2017. And then several months later, made the decision to become a Republican and ultimately a Trump supporter. And then in 2018, basically, because I had made that decision, I had lost the majority of my friends and my life had been kind of turned upside down. And so I decided to start a campaign encouraging other people to walk away from the Democratic Party and join this movement as sort of like a network of support. And it just sort of exploded because I think it was something that people really wanted and they really needed.
Yeah, that's, it's so fascinating. Let me ask you, your story is fascinating. I mean, obviously you just say you lost a lot of friends. How rare is it, or how rare was it for you when you were a liberal to find friends or people around you that literally would look at the news and just, objectively, like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense to me. I mean, this, for me, my story is a little different here, Brandon, but I mean, I remember picking up a Larry Elder book back in the day, reading through it and, calling him all sorts of names and like, this fool has to be lying. And then all of a sudden I'm starting to look into the history and I'm like, oh my God, I've been bamboozled for God knows how long once I started reading this stuff. But you're rare. Let me put it that way. You seem rare to me in the liberal movement. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. It is a rarity that people are willing, especially on their own, to do their own research, to do their own homework, to question what they believe in. But see, I feel like I had a good incentive and a good motivator in that when Trump got elected, I was really, really scared and outraged. And again, I'd been buying into the media deceptions and propaganda. So, remember, the same media that was saying that he was all these terrible things was also saying that he had like a 3% chance of winning. And so when he won and they got it so wrong, I just felt like something was not right. And I had to kind of try to figure it out. And my journey did not begin with me. I never in a million years thought that I would end up leaving the Democratic Party or that I would end up somehow embracing Trump or anything like that. For me, it was just I wanted to feel better because I was so miserable that he had been elected. And so I was just like, what can I uncover here that's going to make me a little bit more okay with this?
That makes sense. Okay. All right. Yeah, that makes sense. I was wondering how that evolution occurred, and that explains a lot to me. So I appreciate you mentioning that. But the walkaway campaign has obviously been very successful. You went from being a liberal to being a big threat to the left. And again, I know your time is limited, so we're kind of fast forwarding through the story. Again, I'm speaking to Brandon Straka. He is the founder of the Walkaway Campaign. You can check out his website, walkawaycampaign.com, walkawaycampaign.com, walkawaycampaign.com. Brandon, where else can people find you before we go any further here?
Well, we did launch our own social media app this year called Walkaway Social. I highly encourage people to check that out because when I launched Walkaway in 2018, it was a testimonial campaign. It still is a testimonial campaign, encouraging people to make videos and share their stories about why they're walking away. Or if you're a lifelong Republican or conservative who wants to be a part of the movement and support it, you're what we call a walk with. People go on there, share their stories. And Facebook actually banned Walkaway on January 8th of 2021, the same day they banned Donald Trump and hundreds of thousands of conservative accounts. So we built our own app called Walkaway Social.
Good for you.
And it's pretty cool. People should check it out. Yeah.
All right. So go ahead and Walkaway Social. Actually, I'll tell you this, Brandon, straight up, I suck at social media. I'm like one of these old fogies. So I'm trying to get used. I'm trying to get used to this stuff. I was a radio guy turned podcasting that can barely turn on my phone. So I'm learning all this stuff here. But anyway, I'm checking out the website
Carl,
now. Yes.
If I could tell you, these days I feel like there's not much incentive for being good at social media because the better you get at doing social media, the more that social media will suppress you and make sure that nobody ever sees your stuff. So It's a blessing and a curse to grow. Several years ago, my following had gotten quite large and my engagement was huge. And then it's like overnight they flip a switch and you have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of followers and nobody can see your content anymore. On Facebook, if I put videos out, I might get 2,000 or 3,000 views on a video, even though I have almost 500,000 Facebook followers. So it's a mixed bag, no matter what.
Yeah, and that's got to be frustrating because obviously your movement has been very successful, and you're doing a great job of that, and people are walking away from the left in droves as a result of your ministry, if you will, and then just to be suppressed like that. Has to be extremely discouraging. But what has to be even more discouraging, which is what I want to jump to because I know your time is limited here, Brandon, and I'd love to have you back in the future for longer, but I know your schedule is insane. I thought mine was insane until I started talking to your assistant, and mine is like nothing in comparison. Yeah, it's pretty insane, but good for you. I appreciate you keeping it and doing good work to help save this country, frankly. But again, I'm speaking to Brandon Straka at walkawaycampaign.com. He's just launched an app as well, so check out the app, Walkaway app. He'll be in my neck of the woods, Seminole Town Center. That is, I just looked up the information and my screen went blank on January 6th. That's Saturday, January 6th. 2024 from 4:30 p.m. to 9. I'm going to make sure you're obviously in my neck of the woods, so I'm going to go meet you and go say what's up to Steve Friend as well. Make sure you check out this event, again, at the Seminole Town Center Mall, 160 Town Center Circle. That's in Sanford, zip code 32771. All right, so it's Grassroots for America that are presenting that as well. Brandon Straka with FBI whistleblower Stephen Friend. Steve is such a good guy. You guys are going to love him. Obviously, you know Brandon. I'm sure you know Brandon if you're listening to this podcast. All right, Brandon, let's do some quick fast forwarding. You have this successful campaign, this walkaway campaign. The left is obviously threatened by the success that you're having because, let's be real, you're gay. You were on the left. You are no longer a liberal. Now you're a conservative, and you're bashing identity politics, which is what the left uses, a form of cultural Marxism, in order to keep people trapped, if you will, within the Democrat Party. And so now you're this serious threat because you're not this lone ranger anymore. You're gaining serious momentum, and other people that have bought into the left's narrative, whatever the narrative may for the day, may have been, anyone that bought into identity politics from the left, all of a sudden they're seeing Brandon Straka, they're seeing this walkaway campaign grow, and they're like, holy crap, we've got to do something about this. Did you ever in 1,000 freaking years, Brandon, think that the federal government would be threatened by you?
No, and not in so many ways too. I mean, in addition to January 6th and everything that followed after, I mean, we're even discovering now through the revelations of the Twitter files, the ways in which the government was coming after Walkaway back in 2018 and 2019, creating the lies that we were, Russian misinformation or Russian propaganda campaign. So this has been going on for a while, but obviously January 6th was its own beast.
Yeah, and I followed your story. I followed you on Facebook then, and just man, I literally just praying for you. I mean, because you were pretty real, you were pretty raw, and I can't understand. I mean, I was a wannabe thug back in the day. Spent minimal time in jail. It wasn't a long stint or anything, but I deserved to go to jail when I went to jail. I'll put it that way, Brandon. You didn't. You literally had the federal government that came after you. I can't imagine, frankly, what that would feel like when the power and the resources of the federal government, you're there at the Capitol, not inside of the Capitol, filming outside. You film a short video, and then the FBI comes to knock at your door. Tell us about that real quickly.
Sure. So, yeah, I was outside of the east side of the Capitol for 8 minutes shooting a video. And when I arrived at the Capitol, I got there pretty late. And when I say I got there late, I didn't know what had happened earlier that day because I was in transit. And so as I was arriving to the Capitol, that's when I started getting messages from people saying, people are going inside the building, et cetera. So I started shooting a video and walked up to the Capitol. When I got there, the doors were open. And there was a group of people. Some of them were trying to push their way in. Most of them were just shooting a video like me. And so I uploaded my video to Twitter. I stood there filming for 8 minutes, didn't go inside. And then 2.5 weeks later, the FBI raided my apartment, got me out of bed, put me in handcuffs, started strip searching my apartment of my computers, my thumb drives, my hard drives, my phones, my iPads, clothing, camera equipment. And they took me to jail. And to your point about going up against the government, all I knew when they took me to jail was that the FBI agent told me that I was facing multiple felony charges for what I had done on January 6th. And I remember saying, felonies? I didn't even commit any crimes. And he said, he was like, oh, I saw your video. I saw what you did. And it wasn't until I got out of jail that I started to understand what I was being accused of. And so essentially what they did in my case, and they handle each case a little bit differently depending on who you are and what your level of influence is and how threatened they feel by you. But in my particular case, they charged me with multiple felonies just for being present outside of the Capitol because they said that my presence was inciting the crowd. And they also charged me with and they also said that that they charged me with a felony for occupying restricted grounds. So in other words, I was being charged with a trespassing felony for standing on a restricted area of the lawn of the Capitol.
Unfreaking freaking believable. So I'd imagine, and again, I mean, if you followed him on social media, he was real and he was raw. I mean, I literally felt your anguish. And I just sat there, and when I would read your stuff, I would literally just pray for you and just be like, God, help this guy. And frankly, I'll just be real with you, Brandon. I mean, you seemed to hit the bottom of depression at some point where I was praying hard for you. I'll just be real, because I was concerned about your state of mind. You know, I just want to be blunt with you because it was that real and that raw. And so I was just like, God, help this guy, because this has to be horrible. You launched this campaign. You're doing great work for the conservative movement. The federal government comes after you. And guys, even if you're dealing with a local prosecutor and you're broke as a joke, it just feels overwhelming. It just feels overwhelming. So I can't even imagine when you're dealing with the federal government and it's a bunch of BS and you know it, and they're putting you through the ringer. But you've bounced back, Brandon, and that's in part what this event has to do with at Seminole Town Center on January 6th from 4:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. Is that correct?
That is correct. And first of all, I want to say thank you for what you just said. I really appreciate anybody who was praying for me, thinking about me, supporting me. And you're absolutely right. Going through something like this is extremely devastating in every way that you can possibly imagine. Some people may or may not know. We already have had, at minimum, 5 people commit suicide rather than continue to go through what the federal government is doing to them connected to January 6th. Part of the reason why people are killing themselves, and the main reason I think why so many people are getting depressed, is, obviously there's the financial stress, there's the emotional stress, there's the stress of feeling like, your life is over and you're going to jail. But for many of us, it's the almost complete and total silence from conservatives about January 6th.
Yeah.
I mean, if before January 6th, if you had told me that it would be possible that I could be arrested and thrown in jail and the government could come after me, and that all of these like high profile conservatives who I'd become friends with and people knew me so well would never say a word about it. I mean, it's like overnight I disappeared. It's like overnight it's like I ceased to exist. And that was a huge part of the depression for me. And I think that's a part of the depression even for people who are not famous or well known.
Yeah.
It's that they're sitting there going, wait a minute, where's the Republican Party? Where's some support from all of these people that are part of this movement that I'm a part of? There's this huge sense of abandonment. And I think that's what's driving people over the edge.
Man, that makes total sense. And I hate to say it, I feel that way about this issue. And I feel the same way when it comes to COVID and the COVID lockdowns. I'm like, it's almost as if conservatives don't want to talk about that anymore. And I'm like, that literally, those lockdowns destroyed the country, and it put the left on a trajectory where I think they were where they were emboldened to pull off this crap with J6. I think it all started with COVID. So it fascinates me and it discourages me that conservatives don't talk about that anymore, because I'm like, that can never be done by a Republican or a conservative. Conservatives shouldn't lock anything down, for God's sakes. And we should. You're absolutely right. When it comes to J6, it scares the crap out of me. I think in part, Brandon, like I look at J6 and I'm like, you know what? I spent a minimal time in jail. I don't ever want to go back to jail, and let alone go to jail at the hands of the federal government, whose conviction rate is 1,000 out of 100. I mean, it's insane. I mean, you're not, if you go up against the federal government, you're basically losing. All right, let's just be real. And so it's just crazy. You're right. We should be talking about this. You're going to be doing it January 6th with Stephen Friend. I know you got to go. I would keep you longer, and I don't want to sound rude, but I know your time is precious. So just give us some closing words, and again, just remind people of where they can go to find you, Brandon, and talk a little bit about the event that's taking place on January 6th right here in Sanford, Florida, basically the outskirts of Orlando, Florida.
Sure, absolutely. Like, first of all, I would say I really encourage everyone to please come to this event. I think it's important, number one, that people hear firsthand accounts of what has gone down from our federal government as it pertains to January 6th, from people who've lived it and experienced it. You may think that you know because you hear little tidbits here and there, or maybe catch a few articles here and there with a little bit of information. But until you actually hear the stories of what has gone down and how deep and nefarious this is, you have no idea. And I know a lot of people might say to themselves, well, that sounds like a pretty depressing way to spend my day, or, why would I subject myself to being frightened that way? Well, first of all, I would say that to a certain degree, I do think that the conservative movement owes that to the people who have gone through it. But secondly, you're next.
Exactly. Thank you. Exactly.
You prepare yourself now, because if we don't get this thing turned around next year, everyone's head is on the chopping block. And at the very least, I can give a good amount of advice and guidance to people about how to handle a situation like this when you go through it, because to say it's disruptive is an understatement. So I really encourage everyone, go to grassrootsforamerica.org, grassrootsforamerica.org. That's how they can get information and tickets to come out and see us on January 6th. It's going to be really amazing. I mean, honestly, Steve Friend is going to be there, who's a former FBI agent. He's a whistleblower. He has a lot of information to provide about the FBI's involvement in all of this. I'll be there, and many others, sharing true stories about what's going on. And it's just something people are not going to want to miss. It's grassrootsforamerica.org. And other than that, I would say, check me out on wherever you are, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, wherever you are. And also check out our app, Walkaway Social. You can get, whether you're an iOS user, iPhone or Android, go to your app store, load the Walkaway Social app, jump on there and watch the stories, share the stories, and share your own story on the app.
All right. I love it. Brandon Straka, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for taking the time. I will be there. I don't care what's going on. I will make sure that I make my way there. I'd love to hear from both you and Steve Friend. Not sure I'm going to be there when the event first starts, but I will find my way there. I look forward to hopefully meeting you, and I'll say what's up to Steve at the time as well. So God bless you for what you're doing. Continue to do what you're doing, and I certainly appreciate what you are doing, because I tell you what, I don't want to be next. I mean, you spend a little time in jail. I can't imagine the weight of the federal government coming down on you. And guys, at any point in time, they can do this to you. And it's a government of, for, and by the people. But if the deep state runs the federal government, we're screwed. America is over. It's really that simple. America is over if the DOJ is a fourth branch of the government doing whatever the hell they want to. All right. So anyway, Brandon Straka, really appreciate you joining us, man. God bless you. You take care.
Thank you, Carl, on here.
Absolutely. All right, guys, you've been listening to the Carl Jackson Show podcast. Please subscribe to the podcast wherever you go to get your podcast. And hopefully Brandon is hopefully he was fully uploaded there. Good Lord. I forgot to ask Gabe. Let me know. We'll get in contact with him right away. Anyway, for those of you that are still listening, just real quick, I forgot to mention our sponsor at the beginning of the program. MyPillow.com is excited to bring you their biggest bedding sale ever, and just in time for Christmas. So for a limited time, please get the Giza Dream bed sheets for as low as $29.98, a set of pillowcases for only $9.98, and you can rejuvenate your bed with the MyPillow mattress topper for as low as $99.99. They also have blankets in a variety of sizes, colors, and styles. They even have blankets for your pets. You can get duvets, quilts, down comforters, body pillows, bolster pillows, so much more. Just the MyPillow 2.0, you're going to sleep better with that. All with the biggest discounts of the year that are happening now. They're also extending their money-back guarantee for Christmas until March 1st of 2024. So essentially, that's a 90-day money-back guarantee, making them the perfect gifts for your friends, your family, and everyone that you know. Go to MyPillow.com. Use the promo code Carl. Go to the Radio Podcast Square at the top of the page. Enter my name, CARL, or give them a call at 800-858-0263. You're going to get huge discounts on all my pillow bedding products, including the Giza Dream Sheets bed sheets for as low as $29.98, and get all of your shopping done now while quantities last. Christmas is just a week away. Put in your order now, mypillow.com, promo code Carl. Follow me on all things social media at The Carl Jackson Show. We're on X. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. So follow us there. All things social media. Review our YouTube and Rumble page. Please subscribe there. Share it. We would certainly appreciate that, guys. And until next time, do not grow weary doing good, and God bless you.